ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhavati naishtike. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, entitled Creation, Chapter 7, The Son of Drona Punished, text number 19. Yada asaranam atmanam yada sharanam atmanam aikshata shantavajinam astra aikshata santavajinam astram brahmashiraha mene astram brahmashiro mene atmatranam Vijatmajah Atmatranam Vijatmajah Yada Sharanam Atmanam Aikshata Shrantavajinam Astram Brahma Shiro Mene Atmatranam Vijatmajah Yada Sharanam Atmanam Aikshata Shantavajinam Astram Brahma Shiro Mene Atmatranam Vijatmajah Yada Sharanam Atmanam Aikshata Shantavajinam Astram Brahma Shiro Mene Atmatranam Vijatmajah
Yada Sharanam Atmanam Aikshata Shrantam Vajinam Astram Brahma Shiromene Atmatranam Vijatmajah
Yada Sharanam Atmanam Aikshata Shantavajinam Atmatranam Vijatmajah Yada Sharanam Atmanam Aikshata Shantavajinam Astram Brahma Shiro Mene Atmatranam Vijatmajah Yada Sharanam Atmanam Aikshata Shantavajinam Astram Brahma Shiro Mene Atmatranam Vijatmajah
Yada Sharanam Atmanam Aikshata Shantavajinam Astram Brahma Shiromene Atmatranam Vijatmajah
Yada Sharanam Atmanam Aikshata Shantavajinam अस्त्रं ब्रह्मशिरोमेने आत्मत्राणं द्विजात्मजः
यदा शरणमात्मानं ऐषत श्रान्तवाजिनम् अष्टं ब्रह्मशिरो मेने आत्मत्राणं द्विजात्मजः
यदा शरणमात्मानं दर्शनार्थवाजिनम् अश्वतं ब्रह्मशिरो मेने
शरणमात्मानं अक्षदक्षान्तवाजिनम् अस्त्रं ब्रह्मशिरो मेने आत्मत्रनं द्विजात्मजः
यदा शरणमात्मानं ऐक्षताश्रान्तवाजिनम् अस्त्रं ब्रह्मशिरो मेने आत्मत्राणं द्विजात्मजः यदा शरणमात्मानं ऐक्षतश्रान्तवाजिनम् 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 अस्त्रं ब्रह्मशिरो मेने आत्मत्राणं द्विजात्मजः
Online.
यदा शरणमात्मानं शान्तवाजिनम् अस्त्रं ब्रह्मशिरो मेने आत्मत्राणं द्विजात्मजः यदा शरणमात्मानं ऐक्षतश्रान्तवाजिनम् अस्त्रं ब्रह्मशिरो मेने आत्मत्राणं द्विजात्मजः यदा शरणमात्मानं ऐक्षतश्रान्तवाजिनम् अस्त्रं ब्रह्मशिरो मेने आत्मत्राणं द्विजात्मजः यदा शरणमात्मानं यदा शरणमात्मानम् ऐश्वर्यश्रान्तवाजिनम् अस्त्रं ब्रह्मशिरोमेने आत्मत्राणं विजात्मजः
Synonyms: yada,
यदा
when, asaranam, without being alternatively protected, atmanam,
आत्मानं
his own self, aikshata,
ऐक्षता
sa, shrantavajinam,
शान्तवादिनं
the horses being tired, astram, weapon, brahmashiraha, the topmost or ultimate nuclear, mene, applied, atmatranam, just to save himself, Vija Atmajaha, the son of Brahma. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: when the son of the Brahmana, Aswathama, saw that his horses were tired, he considered that there was no alternative for protection outside of his using the ultimate weapon, the Brahmastra, nuclear weapon. Translation with repetition: when the son of the Brahmana, Aswathama, saw that his horses were tired, he considered that there was no alternative for protection outside of his using the ultimate weapon, the Brahmastra, nuclear weapon. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the ultimate issue only, when there is no alternative, the nuclear weapon called the Brahmastra is applied. The word Dvijatmajaha is significant here because Aswathama, although the son of Dronacharya, was not exactly a qualified Brahmana. The most intelligent man is called a Brahmana, and it is not a hereditary title. Aswathama was also formerly called the Brahmabandhu, or the friend of a Brahmana. Being a friend of a Brahmana does not mean that one is Brahmana by qualification. A friend or son of a Brahmana, when fully qualified, can be called a Brahmana and not otherwise. Since Aswathama's decision is immature, he is purposely called here in the son of a Brahmana. Hence the wonderful transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimramahasya Jnanangana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminati Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam and this wonderful chapter called The Son of Dronapana. And we have another beautiful verse. Let's see the verse first and then see what Prabhupada is saying in this wonderful purport and what we can learn and apply in our lives. Yada sharanam atmanam aikshata shrantavajinam astram brahma shiromene atmatranam dvijatmajaha. The word aikshata means having seen. So, yada sharanam atmanam aikshata shranta vajinam. Vajinam is the horses. Shranta is tired. Aikshata shranta vajinam. So, when Aswathama, Guruputra, he saw that his horses are tired now. Aikshata shranta vajinam. And yada asharanam atmanam. Yada when there was no other alternative of shelter. Yada asharanam atmanam. Aikshata Shranta Vajinam Astram Brahma Shiromine. He applied the Brahmastra, Astram Brahmastra. Shiro, this is the topmost. Astram Brahma Shiro Mene Atma Tranam Vijatmaja. Atma Tranam for his own self-protection. We say Kshatriya, the word Tranam comes, Trayate, who can Shat Trayate, who can protect the wounds of others. So Atma Tranam, to protect his own self, he applied Astra Brahma Shiro Mene. Translation is when the son of the Brahmana, Aswathama, Dvijatmajaha, saw that his horses were tired, Aikshata Shrantavajinam, he considered that there was no alternative, Asharanam, Atmanam, for protection outside of his using the ultimate weapon, Astram Brahma Shiro, Mene, the Brahmastra, he applied the Brahmastra. This is the verse that we have today. So I have divided the class into three parts. First part, let's see what Prabhupada is talking about this verse in the purport. Now, when we take any verse from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, and in the purport, if Prabhupada highlights one particular word, that is worth paying extra attention. The whole verse is paying attention, worth paying attention. But if there is a word which is specifically mentioned or called out, then it requires even extra attention. So here in the purport, actually Prabhupada is saying Dvijatmajaha. The word Dvijatmajaha is significant here because Aswathama, although the son of Dronacharya, was not exactly a qualified Brahmana. The most intelligent man is called a Brahmana, and it is not a hereditary title. Aswathama was also formally called the Brahma Bandhu, or the friend of a Brahmana. Being a friend of a Brahmana does not mean that one is a Brahmana by qualification. A friend or a son of a Brahmana, when fully qualified, can be called a Brahmana and not otherwise. Since Aswathama's decision is immature, he is purposely called here in the son of a Brahmana. So we've been seeing in this portion of Bhagavatam how when he beheaded, he was actually the military commander of Kauravas after everybody else has died, like Bhishma, Karna, Drona, and then he was the last military commander of Kuru Kauravas. And he went and killed the Pandavas, the sons of the Pandavas, when they were asleep. That's why the word used in the previous verses, Kumaraha, Kumaraha, who was the killer of the murderer of the princess. And at that time, Apatantam, he saw that Arjuna is coming very furiously, Apatantam. And he is also Ugra Dhanva. He has got a lot of furious weapons. Ugra Dhanva is, Prabhupada's translation is equipped with furious weapons. So he is coming at a furious speed and he is having furious weapons, not ordinary person. Had it been an ordinary person coming at a furious speed with furious weapons, maybe it's not a concern, but it is Arjuna, the greatest archer, who's chasing Aswathama. Aswathama, seeing that there is no other alternative, uses the nuclear weapon or the Brahmastra. But Prabhupada is saying this is not befitting that of a Brahmana because he is acting immaturely. Since Aswathama's decision is immature, he is purposely called here in the son of a Brahmana. Dvijatmajaha is not referred to as Dvija. And earlier verses also we have seen he is mentioned as Brahma Bandhu. So it is important to know who is really a Brahmana. Is Brahmana someone who's there in the temple whom you meet, who's doing some rituals, who has got a thread, who can chant some mantras, and you pay him some dakshina and he does some puja for you? Is he a Brahmana? The real definition of Brahmana as per Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, as per our Vedic scriptures, is the most intelligent man. Just because somebody is born in a family of Brahmana doesn't qualify him automatically to become a Brahmana. The definition of Brahmana is given in the Vedas is Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. Somebody who knows Brahman, who's fixed in the platform of Brahman, who doesn't waver from this platform, from this transcendental platform, he is Brahmana. Sometimes people come and say that, can we become Brahmana? Can we take Brahmana Diksha? For that, you have to be qualified. And as mentioned in Bhagavatam, there are some symptoms. Yasya yal lakshanam proktam pumso varnabhivyanjanakam yat anyatrapi drishyeta tat teneva vinidrishyet. Yasya yal lakshanam proktam. People exhibit symptoms without their knowledge. Somebody exhibits the symptoms of a Brahmana, somebody exhibits the symptoms of a Kshatriya, somebody can exhibit the symptoms of a Vaishya and a Sudra. Even though he is born in a different caste, other than what the symptoms is showing, he can still be considered as Brahmana, Kshatriya, respectively. This is a verse which is spoken by Prahlad Maharaj. He is saying, if one shows the symptoms of being a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra, as described above, even if he has appeared in a different class, he should be accepted according to those symptoms of classification. So the Lakshanam is a very important thing. And in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna mentions that Chaturvarnam Maya Shrishtam Gunakarma Vibhagasa. By the qualities and by the activities that one performs, one becomes a Kshatriya or a Brahmana or a Vaishya or a Sudra. Immediately an intelligent man should ask, what are the symptoms of a Brahmana? Is there any Lakshana of a Brahmana? Yes, Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, Krishna says, Samodamas tapah saucham shantir arjavam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma swabhavaja. You are looking who's a qualified Brahmana. Here are the symptoms. Peacefulness, sama, dama, self-control, tapa, austerity, saucham, purity, shantir, tolerance, arjavam, honesty, jnanam, knowledge, vijnanam, wisdom, astikyam, religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. You don't have to be a very big scientist to find out who's really in this Brahmanical qualities. One of the primary prerequisites for becoming a Brahmana is to be fixed in the mode of goodness. Without coming to the mode of goodness, this is impossible to exhibit these symptoms. Artificially, one can't imitate this. And it comes out. Samodamastapah saucham, shanti rajyavamevacha, jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma swabhavaja. So this is the first thing, and this is the only thing which Prabhupada has mentioned in the purport. But very interestingly, Prabhupada has given a lecture on this verse in Vrindavan in 1976. And the lecture is a gem. It's a very powerful lecture that Prabhupada has given. The second point that we should remember after knowing that Brahmana doesn't become Brahmana just by birth, but by his qualifications. Samskara bhajit vija. Right? Janmana jayate Shudraha. We are all born as Shudras, but samskara bhavit vija. By the purificatory process, one can become vija. The second most important thing which Prabhupada mentions is that when we are practicing Krishna consciousness, when we are practicing our devotional life, one of the toughest thing is making decisions. Decision making is tough even if externally Krishna is present or his pure devotee is present. And we can see here how Aswathama was confused. In fact, he didn't know how to withdraw this Brahmastra. He just knew how to apply it, but he was not sure how to withdraw it. He was not sure, he was not qualified to have that knowledge to withdraw it. Yet he is doing it because he's Atma Trana. He's thinking that this is going to protect him, and this is called bodily concept of life. When somebody is in deep rooted in bodily concept of life, the symptom of that is fear, anxieties, tension, worries. Because he's thinking, my life is coming to an end. Aswathama is being chased by Arjuna, and he's running out of the fear of his life, like Brahma ran out of the fear of Shiva, which is mentioned in the previous verse. So he is also running, he's chasing. Like that, our life also can come to an end at any point in time. And when we are practicing devotional life, it is very, very difficult to make good decisions. Very difficult. It's not easy. What do we do? What is the process of taking decisions? Well, the word decision, if you see the root of this, anybody knows where it is coming from, the word decision? It comes from a word called Caesar. Where do we use the word Caesar? Which one? No, not that Caesar. The Caesar, normal Caesar, like Caesarette. Like when the pregnant lady, when they have delivery, sometimes it is called the Caesarette. Uh, Caesarean, whatever that same word, Caesar. That root word is Caesar. Caesar means to cut. Now, what you have to cut? You're taking a decision. What are you going to cut? Why the decision making is confusing or difficult is always there is in life you have to choose between two, and there is something which is good for us, and there is something which we like to do. And when there is a decision that has to be taken, there is a pull. You want to do something which is ultimately good, which is something which you are hearing from the Vedic scriptures, from the words of spiritual master, but there is something which you like to do. For example, somebody wants to sleep. How many of you want to sleep at 4 o'clock? Nice sleep, beautiful, hot comforter is there, and you want to just get in there, nice cozy bed, and sleep there as much as possible. But our scriptures are telling that no, we should get up for Mangalarati because it is good for us. So there is a conflict which is arising between what is good for us or the Shreyas and what is something which I like. Given a choice, if I ask if at 4 o'clock you are all able to get up and somebody wants to study, somebody wants to go for a morning walk, somebody wants to do Mangalarati, somebody wants to do japa, maybe all of you will say, yes, I would like to. But then there is a liking of mine which says, no, I should sleep for more. So I have to take a decision. And when I take a decision, I'm cutting off one. I'm giving up. I'm giving up the choice that I should sleep for more. And when that something which I want to give up is difficult, it becomes difficult when I'm attached to that. And I've got a weakness for that. It becomes very, very difficult. So that is why decision making in devotional life especially is very difficult. And that is why we need association of devotees. Many of us, we get initiated. And there are many devotees who take initiation. After initiation, they will forget to ask or seek guidance. Initiation is over, no? That's all. I'm on my own. I've got a Dasa or a Dasi surname. That's it. And I'm on my own. I'm doing my things. Devotional life is not to be lived like that. It is always in conjunction with the advice taken from the superior. Ask yourself honestly if you have revealed your heart or mind to somebody who's superior to you. Unless we do that, decision making becomes very difficult. And we choose always what we like over what is good for me, because we often don't see what is good for us. The very other important thing which Prabhupada mentions in the lecture is that actually one may question this. Even if you hear this incident, why didn't Krishna step in to save the sons of Pandavas? Why did he allow them to get killed? Krishna was there in the side of Pandavas. If he wanted, he could have protected them. He did not do. Krishna often doesn't prevent the adversities to come in our lives. Just because we have taken shelter of Krishna, just because we are taking to the path of Krishna consciousness, doesn't mean that we are free from dangers. Adversities will come. That is why these all things we have to pay attention, and this only can be seen by this is just a simple incident which is happening, but Prabhupada is saying so many wonderful things which we can otherwise not get this. We have to always remember that Krishna doesn't prevent us from those adversities to come in our life. We might have to go through them. Like the Pandavas who were rock solid in their faith in the protection of Krishna, we need to develop that faith. Is the second point which Prabhupada mentions. The third one, he's saying that if you see in this whole incident, this thing that happened, there is a conflict of opinion. There is a difference of opinion between the Pandavas, like Krishna and Bhima. They were on one side saying that, Aswathama should be killed, whereas Draupadi and Yudhishthir, they are on another side. They're on another side saying that he should be excused. So Prabhupada says in the purport that in life also we should understand there can be differences of opinion, especially in devotional life. So what should we do in that case? What should be our goal? How should we make progress in life? People say that you should work hard to earn money. They say that you should work hard to have some bank balance, work hard to have political influence, have material assets. Devotees should work hard to go and do introspection and see whether they're able to hear the voice of Krishna. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajata priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena maham upayanti te. If we are able to hear the voice of Krishna in the form of super soul who is there in our heart, and that is possible if we are absorbed in Krishna consciousness. It is not a mechanical process. It is not something which is done externally. Earlier I was wearing some other dress, now I have changed to dhoti kurta. Earlier I was doing something else, now I'm putting tilak and kantimala and coming to temple. These are all external identity. Once somebody does that external identity, there is a change in identity which happens that once he realizes or once he or she realizes that this is good, I should associate with the devotees, they may change their external appearance. The next thing is they should do some activities. Activities are like getting up in the morning, chanting the fixed number of rounds, following the 4 regulative principles, taking only Krishna Prasadam, fasting on certain days. These are activities. This is beyond identity. But activities are also not enough. The third most important thing is what is our consciousness, what's going on in our mind. I may be doing it externally, superficially, just wearing something and doing something. But deep within, I'm very disturbed. I've got so many things, material desires. So if those are the things which we are exhibiting still, then the direction from the Lord doesn't come. Tadami buddhi yogam tam, that doesn't come. And when that doesn't come, the direction from the Lord is not coming. We are confused in material life. Even though we have taken to this process of devotion out of some sentiment, out of some good faith, it doesn't give us that happy thing in our life. Very interestingly, if you see the life of Dhruva Maharaj, where he went and did severe austerity. So when he was performing this austerity in the forest, Narad Muni visits Dhruva Maharaj's father. What is his name? So Narad Muni visits Uttanpad and he says something very interesting. He said, "My dear king, your son is very competent. He will perform activities which would be impossible even for great kings and sages." What is an impossible activity? What is? Double the age of Dhruva. What is the impossible thing that Narad has, that Dhruva is going to perform? Anybody? That's right. Those are all the austerities that he performed. Very interestingly, Prabhupada mentions in the purport, significant word that is used here is to duskaram. Very difficult to perform. And what was the task that Dhruva Maharaj undertook? The most difficult task in life is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of God. That is the most difficult task. Not easy. And we have all jumped in. Whether we know it or not, we have jumped into this process of satisfying the Supreme Lord. How careful we should be. How much we should understand that the intelligence from the heart is so important. Actually, what happens is the path of devotion, why it is called easy and difficult simultaneously. The reason being those habits, those practices that we are following makes us whether we are a good devotee or okay devotee. What is the difference? The difference is you can see the symptoms of a person, how he is exhibiting, what is he doing, how is he conducting himself. The symptoms of advancement, as mentioned by Prabhupada in various places, one of the things that you can see is whether the devotee is developing those Vaishnava symptoms, the Vaishnava qualities. That is one way of seeing it, that the devotee is making progress. Another very important thing to see whether the devotee is making progress or not is seeing how much of restlessness has reduced when he's sitting for chanting or when he is, attending Bhagavatam class. How restless sometimes you see people come who are not used to Krishna consciousness or who are even practicing, extremely restless because they don't really understand the importance of hearing Bhagavatam, this transcendental sound. Prabhupada mentions that as the third point, and we will see that very powerful this sound. Unfortunately, when we do it as a ritual, when we don't understand the significance, we either feel tired, sleepy, or we are always in a mood to go out, very restless. If somebody doesn't hear Bhagavatam for a day or two, consciousness automatically goes down. For a week, even further down. After 10 days, what is devotion? What is chanting? What is devotional activity? Nothing is going to make sense. Very important actually. If we really want to protect our spiritual life, if we are serious about achieving that topmost goal of pleasing the Lord, then I should always be in association of devotees, ensuring that my consciousness is protected by chanting 16 good rounds and also hearing Bhagavatam properly with attention. There was a there was a there was a in India you see that the cars, the vehicles, they will have some things written behind them. There were two things which I saw this time when I had gone from Delhi to Vrindavan. One was, I'm already disturbed, don't disturb. The car behind, and in India they honk, right, so much. So the car is saying, I'm already disturbed, don't disturb. So people in this material world are so distressed, so much of anxiety, so much of challenges they go through. Because the material world is so designed and Krishna himself is not intervening in these things. They don't take this solution seriously. They don't chant properly. Chanting time, they do some WhatsApp or something else, and that becomes a habit. Mind you, a mistake which is done more than once becomes a decision. It is a decision. You're consciously choosing that. Let me give you an example. Um, let's say you're a small baby. All of us, we were babies, and at that time probably we were using diaper and we were doing everything in the diaper. Now that we have grown up and we start using the diaper again, that's not good, right? That probably that was a mistake, and now even if you have grown up and you continue doing that, that's a decision you are making. Suppose you're chanting and there is a WhatsApp notification which came and you saw, and then you got distracted and you felt that I shouldn't have done that, but you keep looking the phone afterwards. कुछ आया क्या? कोई और भेजा क्या? That's all as a conscious decision we are making. In life, we make these decisions. These are all small things. These are all small mistakes. I will not attend class. Once it happened for some reason. Second time it happened. Third time it happened. Fourth time it becomes a habit. I'm not supposed to attend. This is not important in my life. This is not a priority. And when we do this consciously mistakes one after another, that becomes a pattern, that becomes a habit, that becomes a lifestyle. So it is very important. It is not a small thing to please the Lord. This is the most difficult task. Yet it is possible if you follow the instructions of the spiritual master perfectly. The other thing that I saw in the car is live life without pretension. Live life without pretension, hear with attention, and speak without offense. Live life without pretension. Actually, what is going on in our heart, what is there inside us, nobody knows except for the Lord and we ourselves. But externally, we pose as if we are very big devotees, very advanced and very this thing. But deep within, if you are suffering, your consciousness is not proper, you should seek help, you should seek guidance, you should ask someone, you should ask for counsel. Nobody else knows, but we know it very well, what's going on inside us. And one of the very powerful system that Prabhupada has established in ISKCON is this whole institution of the organizational or the institutional framework where we can seek guidance. from our superior. It is meant for that. But if we don't open up, if we are not honest enough, if we don't reveal our mind, as it is mentioned in that six principles of uh, exchange of the devotee, these things. Gusham akhyati pritchati, right? Tadami pratigrinati, gusham akhyati pritchati. One has to ask, honestly, when you reveal your mind and say the problems that you're facing, it is not that you'll become small, you'll become, somewhat people will think. It is not like that. The solution you'll get, which will elevate you to even higher platforms. So it is very important to live the life of honesty. It is very important to live the life pretenselessly. That is why if you see the chapter of first canto, 19th chapter, where Dharma was standing in the three legs of Dharma were broken. There was one leg which was there, and what is that leg? I didn't ask. What was that leg? No. Truthfulness. What were the other three? Because he said truthfulness, it's easy to repeat. What were the other three? Other? One at least. One. Yeah, go for it. Huh? Okay, Arya. That is a pillar of Dharma. Pillar of Dharma is, there are four pillars on which Dharma, the religious principles, are resting. Three pillars are already gone in Kali Yuga. That is the dark age of Kali, where we are all products of all three. There are three pillars which I'll tell you what are they have gone, but there is one which is there, that is honesty and truthfulness. If that also goes from our heart, if that also is not present, then it is very difficult. What are the other three? Compassion, okay. Huh? Compassion or mercy is same? Huh? Cleanliness. हाँ? मर्सी हो गया ना बाबा, कितने बार मर्सी करोगे? कंपैशन मर्सी हो गया. Cleanliness हुआ. Then what is the third one? Austerity. These are the four principles. The four regulative principles are nothing but these are the ones which destroy these legs. No meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. So these are the four things which destroy these four pillars of dharma. So it is very important to live life pretenselessly. Then he says, hear with attention. Hear without defense. I'm sorry, hear without defense. How often you come across devotee where he's already prepared to answer you back before you even say something. He's already defending his position. And the moment you see that once, twice, thrice, you stop giving feedback. And when that happens, imagine that is the worst thing that can happen to a devotee. When does a person think that, when does a person feel that the person is having a lot of defense? When he's not humble, when humility is not there. When humility is not there, then that person, whoever is supposed to give feedback, he'll withdraw himself. It's not good. And when that happens, that's the biggest problem. There was an incident which was shared by a devotee. He had gone for a book distribution, like all of you are going, and it was somewhere in some of the Western country. And this person, the person who was coming for buying the book, was an Indian. So the devotee approached him and said that this is Bhagavad Gita, you should take Bhagavad Gita and read. There are some people whom you come across while doing book distribution, they are hell-bent not to take. Mahabharata padha hu, Ramayana padha hu, Bhagavad Gita kyun chahiye? What is the need for Bhagavad Gita? All these kinds of things going on. Hai Bhagavad Gita hai mere paas. Then this devotee said, this is Bhagavad Gita part 2. Part 2 also I have. So he said, okay, don't worry, give it to someone. Many people do not have part 2. You give this part 2 to someone. So he got convinced to take that, but he was not ready to pay any money. There was no money. He said, this is principles of religion. Why are you charging money? As so many people say like that. Even That day when we had gone to India market, right there were people who were, we thought it is free. The moment you say some money, then hey, how can you think that a book which is printed, there is so much of thing which has gone behind this, is freely available. But anyway, this person was arguing, saying that this has to be free. So after a lot of this thing persuasion, that person finally gave some money. And then he went back. And then he again returns. Actually, I have a formula to tell you how you can become rich. Would you like to know? So this devotee said, yes, I mean, anything that is for Krishna's service, if some money is coming, I'll be happy to engage that in Krishna's service. So you might be thinking that by earning money, you'll become rich. He said, yes, and that's how most people become rich, right? In this world, how do people become rich? If they are earning a lot of money, they'll become rich. I'm going to tell you something else. So what is that something else? He said that if you save money, if you don't spend money, then you'll become rich. And he said that and he left. So this devotee was thinking, what did I say now? First is live life pretentiously. Second thing, what did I say? Hear without defense. So sometimes some of the things that we say, we have to withdraw them, we have to save them. We're not supposed to say those things. Because what happens is when we utter those words take away the mercy of the devotee. Devotional life is not something to prove that I'm right and this is the only way to do. It is completely, purely based on the mercy of devotees. Purely. Without mercy of the devotees, without mercy of the spiritual master, we can't make progress. We were what we were before. We were all karmis. And those karmi mentality is still there within us. That doesn't go so easily. And if we are not careful, what we are uttering, how we are saying, and if we are very defensive, then you block the mercy to flow inside. And that happens, that's a very dangerous position. And the progress, the spiritual progress gets checked. The third thing is that he said was, what was the third thing he said? How many of you are attentive? Speak without offense, correct. So hear without defense and speak without offense. I was talking about speak without offense, actually. It was not hearing without defense. So speak without offense is related to the same thing. When we commit some offense, when we are not careful what we are saying, when we forget this mood of a devotee that I'm Dasa. When I forget that, I think I'm a very important person. Then I look for prestige. I hanker for those things. Those are the big detrimental things in our life. Those are the big blocks in our spiritual progress. Anyway, Prabhupada goes on to say something which is much more striking. So we spoke about the context about Vijatmajaha. We spoke about how decision making can be difficult unless we are connected to the Supreme Lord, unless we are hearing the voice of the Super Soul, and that is possible by being absorbed. And how Dhruva Maharaj says that the most difficult thing is to please the Supreme Lord. The third thing which Prabhupada says in this class is a very powerful thing. He says that this word asharanam is translated as without being alternatively protected. We have heard the word sharanam many times, but this is the first time you see this word asharanam is used. Without being alternatively protected. This is the situation of people outside where they have no protection. No, zero protection. But obvious that they are anxious, they are having all these problems, they are suffering, they are going through all these miseries, yet they are not taking the solution. Whereas in Bhagavatam, there is this verse which comes, Gato Mukundam, Sharanam, Sharanyam, how does it come? Pitrinam. Gato Mukundam. Anyway, Saranam, Sharanyam comes. That word comes. Sharanam, Sharanyam is one who is worth taking shelter of. Krishna is all in all. So those devotees who have surrendered to Krishna and abide by his instructions, they are always protected. Gato Mukundam Sharanam Sharanyam. Who have taken shelter of Mukunda, who can give liberation. In all circumstances, in all trying circumstances, the Lord will protect. But since Aswathama, as for his own wish, killed the 5 sleeping sons of Pandavas, he felt insecure. This is what happens when somebody does somebody does something independently. What does the word independence means? You see, in a city, there are so many law-abiding citizens who live very peacefully because they are following, they are giving taxes, they are following all the traffic rules, they are doing everything. They are secure. There is no problem. When somebody violates the laws, when somebody takes the laws in his own hands, he's insecure. He's always in anxiety. Similarly, this organization is created by Srila Prabhupada with this mission that we should go back home, back to Godhead. We should develop love of God. To do that, we have to follow the rules and regulations of the organization and not take decisions independently. The more we take independent decisions, the more we want to be separate from whatever the organization wants or needs, the more we will be insecure. The more there will be, there is this confusion, chaos inside which is going on, which will not allow us to practice devotion very nicely. Devotional life is blissful, is safe on the platform of obedience, on the platform of following. The more you develop this desire to become independent, do things on your own, the more you are inviting insecurity. Then Prabhupada goes on to talk about this final point, which is very important, the power of mantra. He says that this nuclear weapon was applied by Aswatthama by chanting this mantra. Nuclear weapon, we know the nuclear weapon being used by America and Japan in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, those two bombs which were put, but they didn't know how to counteract that. They're yet to come to that situation. But Prabhupada says the invocation of this Brahmastra is done by chanting of the mantra. Unlike modern days, wherein warfare involves only gross weapons, in ancient times, people were able to engage in warfare simply by invoking mantras. He also says how mantras even help to charm snakes or even cure snake bites. And the Prabhupada asks us a thought-provoking question. If on the material platform, mental platform, the mantra can act so wonderfully, how much spiritually the mantra can benefit you? You have to simply imagine. Actually, the biggest Brahmastra that we have been given, the ultimate weapon, whatever the title is this chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. So this Hare Krishna mantra is completely spiritual. If you chant it spiritually enlightened, surely it will act. Param Vijayata Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Therefore, chanting is so important. Unfortunate are those people who don't take it seriously. Unfortunate are those people who have taken a vow of chanting 16 rounds, yet are not doing that. And what happens to them? It's a very shocking thing which Prabhupada mentions. If somebody stops doing this chanting of 16 rounds, there is a quote where Prabhupada is saying they become rogues again. They again go back to those same material diseases that they were suffering from. Who's responsible for that? All of us, if we are not serious. There's a nice story somebody had shared. There was a thief. And this thief was stealing, or he was giving money to someone. What was he doing? What is a thief? Stealing. No? Listening to a class. That is an unusual thing, but that can also happen. But this thief was a small thief. He was stealing. He was stealing fishes from neighbor's pond. So when people are asleep in the night, he will go in the night or early mornings, little, when the sun is about to rise, and he'll put his net and he'll throw, he'll catch fish. And then he was doing that today from Badri's house, tomorrow from Vishnu's house. They have pond and they have fishes also. So he was stealing. Then one day he decided, let me haath marte hain to bada marte hain. Let me go to the king's place. The king had a big water reservoir. And then he went and he put his net, everything well prepared, planned, sab kuch karke wahan par baith gaya. And he put his net and he caught the fish. Unfortunately, from a distance, like Aswatthama saw, the king was coming. He said, this is it. My life has come to an end. I'll be caught and I'm finished. I'm done. So what he did was immediately threw all his net into the river, everything, and then dug a hole, went inside, and everywhere, all his body, everywhere he put some mud, and with raised hands he was sitting there. When the king came, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, he did. And the king thought, my God, some sage has come to my place. He immediately bowed down, paid obeisances to him. So he continued doing Shri Ram. He was worried if he speaks, then something else will come out. So he was very carefully Shri Ram, he continued. The king thought that finally it is my good fortune. I am seeing a sage in my palace. Let me give him some gold coins. And he gave him some gold coins. This fellow was very happy. Never in my life have thought of getting so many gold coins and come to take some fish, big fish from this king, but I've got gold coins. He got amazed by the power of chanting Hare Krishna mantra, Hare mantra, of the Lord. He became a devotee. His name is Sadananda or something. He became a devotee in Ayodhya. The point I'm trying to say is, Prabhupada says that, quoting the words of Srila Narottam Thakur, Prabhupada says that the holy names and Krishna are non-different, both are spiritual, and the holy names have been imported from Goloka to help suffering souls like us. It is imported. Golokero Premadhana Harinama Sankirtana. This is not belonging to this material world. And we have been given, yet we don't apply. Take the example of Jagai Madhai. We were thinking of the drama yesterday. And when they started chanting the names of the Lord, their names also got changed. Jagadananda Das Brahmachari and Madhavananda or something, it is mentioned, right, in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The names got transformed. Even, the worst kind of a sin that one has performed. You may not be able to go to the temple because you are drunk or you have done something. You still can chant. Chanting the names of the Lord is so powerful. If we don't chant. There's a beautiful song which Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written. I'm sure you all know the song that is called Vibhavari Sesa, right? In that there is a line which comes, Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva. Actually, if you read the translation, Prabhupada is saying we should chant mouthful names of the Lord. This song is filled with the names of the Lord. Vibhavari Sesha Aloka Pravesha Nidra Chadi Utha Jiva Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva. Then Nasimha Vamana Sri Madhusudana Brajendra Nandana Shama Putana Ghatana Kaitava Satana Jaya Dasa Rathi Rama. Wonderful names of the Lord. And yet look at our position that we're not able to chant. In the morning, this thing that we see, Madhupandit Prabhu's the short videos, there is one thing that Prabhu says, there is a quote from Rupa Goswami, which Prabhu quotes, Tvam Namami Bhavantu Me. Tvam Namami Bhavantu Me is a verse of Rupa Goswami where he is giving the analogy. This is the last line, I couldn't find the first line. The first line where he says, like a miser, is always thinking, where I have invested my money. Okay, it is there in this fixed deposit. It is there in that place. It is there in this thing. It is there in the savings account. It is there in these things. A devotee should always be thinking, okay, how much I have invested in this holy names? How much I chanted today? Did I chant extra? Did I chant it with attention? Did I do? Always like a miser who's thinking, kahan se paisa aega, return kitna aega, wo. That is how we should think in our mind. Because this is the biggest benediction that has been given to us, yet we don't take it seriously. How much of difficulty in this. Then Prabhupada talks about that. Okay, will not put. But Prabhupada says, to conclude our time together, Prabhupada says another thing which is very important, and with this we will close. Always busy in some business of Krishna consciousness, not just chanting. Because somebody can get into this paradigm that I can chant always. I can sit in one place and chant, and there's no need to do any service. No. Our whole mission is that this cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should be spreaded, should be shared. So it is important. Apart from doing our fixed number of rounds, we should also share this message. This is the mission. Our whole mission, actually, in one place, I think it is the Mula Prakriti Devidasi's book, Srila Prabhupada is coming. There is a mention. When Prabhupada came back from the Western country, and he was sitting in Mayapur along with few of his godbrothers. One of them was Bhan Maharaj, who had gone to where did he go to London, right? So he had gone to London, and there are a few other Vamsidhar Babaji Maharaj, and all of them were sitting. Somebody asked, how could Prabhupada do this? How could Prabhupada do this Whereas, Bon Maharaj, apparently more qualified sannyasi, he could not do it. Bon Maharaj himself answered two things which Prabhupada did, which is the secret of his success. Firm faith in holy name. He acknowledges he didn't have that. Firm faith in holy name and always anxious to spread this message, to share this preaching. Otherwise, we were celebrating Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disappearance day. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has written a beautiful song. Dushta mana tumhe kise re Vaishnava. Dushta mana tumhe kise re Vaishnava. What kind of a Vaishnava are you? You go to some nirjana sthana, like you go to a secluded place and sit there and chant just to get cheap adoration. That is not what our movement is. Our movement is whatever realizations, whatever little we have understood, we should share it. The moment we do that, we attract the mercy of the Lord. That is how our life gets transformed. These are some of the important points from this verse. I'll stop here and see if you have any questions or comments. Any question? So I discussed about 3 points. The first one was Dvija Atmajaha. The word that is used for describing Ashwatthama is not Dvija. Earlier we had seen Dvijabandhu. Here it is mentioned Dvija Atmaja, the son of a Brahmana. And Prabhupada says why he is called a son of a Brahmana. And a son of a Brahmana is not necessarily the same as a Brahmana, because he's doing immaturely, he's acting immaturely. And then we saw the qualification of a Brahmana, what are his symptoms, and how by his activities, by symptoms, one can act as a Brahmana, even though he's not born in the family of the Brahmanas. Then we saw the second one where Prabhupada is saying how decision making is so difficult in this material world, especially somebody who's taken into this process of devotion. That is why staying in association of devotees is very important. And being absorbed in Krishna consciousness is necessary so that we can get that guidance and intelligence from the Lord within to decide which is really good for me, not which I like. And that can only happen if we are connected with Krishna within. Then we spoke about living pretenselessly, hearing without defense, and speaking without offense. And then we saw the power of mantra, how this mantra, even on material platform, people who have got snake bites and all, can be cured by chanting of this mantra, and how this Brahmastra was invoked by just mantra. These are called Sabda Bhedi. Even if a person is hiding in some place, if it is invoked to kill that particular person, it will go through all the obstacles and kill only that person, and not do any damage, but it is invoked by mantra. So how powerful it must be to chant something which is from spiritual world. Golokera Premadhana Harinama Sankirtana, because it is imported from that, Narottam Das Thakur says. And then we saw some examples and quotes of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the song, how we should sing mouthfully, how we should be having so much of faith and conviction in this holy names. No question? No question, we will stop here and continue to see this wonderful chapter. So many beautiful points which Prabhupada makes. If we see, hear, understand with attention, apply, life will be transformed. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.